Hello and welcome to a yoga session. This is day 28 of our semester. My name is Eli Khan. Thank you for joining me here at Tarrant County College. We begin in our standing mountain pose. Palms are facing forward. Shoulders are relaxed away from our ears. Our eyes have the option to be opened or closed. We're breathing in and out through the nose to reconnect body and mind. We're letting go of thoughts of the past. We're letting go of thoughts of the future. We're finding ourselves in this present breath, in this present moment. The next time we breathe in, let's lengthen our arms up towards the sky. Breathing out as we release our hands and our energy to our heart center. Standing mountain pose near the front of our mats, moving directly into some sun salutations. We breathe in, lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathe out, swan diving forward, hinging from our hips. Hands can rest at thighs, knees, shins, ankles, blocks, textbooks, feet, or floor. Breathe in, looking forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, let's step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge, you decide. Breathing in, we're lengthening heart center sky. Breathing out, release our hands and step back, down dog or child's pose extended. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll upward facing dog. Breathe out, maybe add your extra push-up back to your down dog or your child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Left knee to the mat or not, you decide. Breathing in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathing out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in when we reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. Left side, breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathing out when we swan dive, hinge from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we look forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing in, we're lengthening heart center sky. Breathing out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. Let's breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our left foot forward. Right knee to the mat or not, you decide. Breathe in, lengthening arms or no arms. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathing out, sinking into our chair, right side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in as we reverse our swan. Breathe out, we sink into our chair. Left side, breathe in, lengthen back up, extend mountain. Breathe out, swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, roll upward facing dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our left foot forward. Breathing in, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathe out, chair pose, right side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathing out, we're swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we look forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing in, arms or no arms. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose. Maybe left leg kicks up to a three-legged down dog. We breathe into our plank or modified plank. Breathe out, chaturanga. Breathe in, roll up dog. Both feet to the mat. Blow out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Breathing in, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe out, release our hands when we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathe out, chair pose, left side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, we're swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose. Maybe right leg kicks up to a three-legged down dog. We breathe into our plank or modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, both feet to the mat, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose. We step our left foot forward. Breathing in, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in to reverse our swan. Breathe out, chair pose. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Let's walk, hop or jump, feet back, downward facing dog, walking the dog. Alternate as we press one heel down, then the other. We have starfish hands, even weight distribution amongst our fingertips and our palms. Resting knees down, cat, cow postures. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath our sit bones. As we breathe out, we're rounding into our beautiful cat. As we breathe in, we arch into our cow. One breath, one movement. Body and mind continuing to work together. Breath and movement matching. Let's find ourselves straightening our left leg towards the back of our mat, twisting our right toes to face the side of our mat for a kneeling side plank option. Raising our top fingertips to the sky for a kneeling side plank. Breathe in, gate pose. Breathe out, returning to our kneeling side plank. Breathing in, gate. Breathing out, kneeling side plank. Instead of a word of the day or a phrase of the day, answering a question. So the question for today, what is your favorite kind of food and why? What is your favorite kind of food and why? Finding ourselves holding in our kneeling side plank, dropping our left arm down. Breathe in, raise that left arm. Breathe out to lower. Maybe add the left leg. Breathe in as we lift. Breathe out as we lower. Maybe resting the left hand to the waist, breathe in, knee towards chest, breathe out as we press our left heel towards the back of our mats. Holding our left heel towards the back of our mat, we rest this foot down. Come up onto both knees and transition to the other side, straightening our right leg towards the front of our mat. Right arm to the sky, kneeling side plank. Breathe in, gate pose. Breathe out, return to our kneeling side plank. Embracing the flow of the breath, united with our movement. Allowing our muscles to move with our minds. Allowing our breath and our movement to match. Holding in our kneeling side plank, drop the right hand down by our right leg, breathe in, raise the right arm, breathe out as we lower. Maybe include the right leg with the right arm, possibly just the arm, possibly just the leg. We release top hand to waist, breathe in, knee towards chest, breathe out as we press our heel towards the front of our mats. Holding our heel towards the back or the front of our mat, resting down, down dog, facing the back of our mats. And breathing. Let's step our left foot forward, walking our hands towards the center of our mats to our wide sunflower stance. Soften those knees. Using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle, sweep our arms to the sky. Breathe out, activated sunflowers, gathering our imaginary sunflowers. Breathe in, release our sunflowers to others in the room. Breathe out to gather that energy, gather those sunflowers towards our core center. Then release them as we stand ourselves back up. On our next inhalation, let's keep both arms elevated up and overhead. On our next exhalation, we release our hands and our energy to our heart center. Turning our left toes towards the back of our mat, pressing our right heel towards the front of our mat. Triangle pose. Breathe and lean over towards the back of our mat, booty towards the front of our mat. Breathe out, drop. The left hand to knee, shin, block, ankle, textbook, foot or floor. Push your hips forward towards the side of your mat. Maybe look up towards your right fingers. Always breathe. Releasing top hand down towards the back of our mat. Pyramid pose. Step that right foot slightly inward. Attempt to straighten through your left knee joint, shifting your hips forward and back. One hip placement over another might create more sensation in our pyramid pose. We can stay here in our pyramid if we like to move into our one-legged standing straddle splits, walking our fingertips towards the back of our mat, raising our right foot high to the sky, drawing our face as close to our left leg as possible, maybe sending one hand to our left ankle, maybe both hands, if balance allows. Potential activated standing straddle splits. Release the hands to the floor. Breathe in, bend both knees. Breathe out, straighten both legs, pointing those right toes back up to the sky as we straighten through both knee joints. Holding our right toes back to the sky and resting our right foot down. We walk our hands over towards the center of our mats, adjusting our feet to our wide sunflower feet. Soften those knees. Using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle, sweep our arms back up to the sky. Breathing out to release hands and energy to our heart center. Turning our right toes to face the front of our mat, pressing our left heel towards the back of our mat. Opening our arms out for our triangle preparation. Breathe in, lean towards the front of our mat, booty towards the back of our mat. Breathe out, dropping our right hand to knee, shin, block, ankle, textbook, foot, or floor. Opening up the left shoulder to the sky, maybe sending our eye gaze up towards our left hand as we imagine our bodies in between two window panes. Triangle pose, carefully not touching the glass, in front or behind us. Breath continuation. Releasing, left hand down, pyramid pose, stepping the left foot slightly inward to shorten the distance in between our feet. Shifting our hips forward and back to determine if one hip position over another creates a more desired sensation. We can stay here in our pyramid, one-legged standing straddle splits, fold through the right knee joint, walk our fingertips towards the front of our mat, raising our left toes as high to the sky as possible, dropping our face as close to our right leg as possible. Maybe sending one hand or both hands to our right ankle. Squeezing through the left butt cheek as we raise those left toes as high to the ceiling as we can. Activated standing straddle splits, rest both hands down, breathe in, bend both knees, breathe out, reach our left toes back up to the sky as we straighten through our knee joints. Holding our left toes up to the sky, breathe, 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 breathe. Release our left foot down, walking our hands back towards the center of our mats. Adjusting our feet to our wide sunflower feet. We breathe in, circle, sweep our arms to the sky. Breathing out as we release hands and energy to our heart center. We're going to shift our heels towards the fronts and backs of our mats to make the sides of our feet parallel with the front and backs of our mats, straddle splits position. We breathe in, lengthen our arms to the sky. Breathe out, hinge from our hips. Hands can rest to textbooks, blocks, or floor. We can go with a wider stance if flexibility allows, potentially dropping elbows and forearms to the mat as well. I accept my body and my mind completely in this moment, in this breath. Now, if you're able to drop down to knees for frog, you may drop those knees down. If not, just stay in that standing straddle splits with the knees stay out nice and wide. Draw those heels in towards each other. And stack fist on top of fist. Actually, not drawing the heels towards each other. The toes are towards each other. The heels are just resting below the booty. Frog pose. I'm changing my mind. I'm forgetting how I normally do frog pose. Dorsiflex your feet. So I'm just going to give you a back view here so you can get proper position as far as dorsiflexing those feet. So now my toes are facing the front and backs of my mats of their respective sides. As I breathe out, I attempt to sink my booty a little bit closer towards the floor, promoting more of a stretch through the groin area. Wherever we are, let's find ourselves bringing those knees towards each other, creating a quarter turn into a child's pose extended facing the front of our mats. Or if you prefer a downward facing dog, you're welcome to perform your downward facing dog. If you're in a child's pose extended, curl those toes under, return to a downward facing dog. We step our right foot forward, releasing our left heel to the mat for our pyramid pose. Preparing for a reverse triangle, possibly right hand to the waist. Twisting your body towards the right side of your mat. You could stay here. Maybe raise the right arm to the sky. Maybe send your eye gaze up towards your right hand. Your left hand can go to the outside of your right foot as we breathe. Rotation of the spine to guide us in our digestive tract. Reminding ourselves we limit rotation of the spine if we're experiencing back issues or if we're pregnant. Let's return to center. We step our right foot back to our downward facing dog and transition. Left foot steps forward, releasing our right heel to the mat for our pyramid. Sending, if we'd like, a left hand to the waist for our reverse triangle. Twisting towards the left side of our mat. Maybe stay here, maybe reach the left fingertips to the sky, maybe send our eye gaze towards our left hand. Possibly our right hand to the outside of our left foot, if balance allows. We return to center. We step back, downward facing dog. Now we can stay here in down dog. If you'd like to join me for pigeon from a standing position, you may. If you know how to perform pigeon from down dog, hopefully you do by now, you can perform it here. Or if you have knee issues and you'd like to lay on your back, feel free to lay on your back. I'm going to talk us through standing pigeon. Walk those feet forward, forward fold. Use the power of our legs. Breathe in, circle sweep our arms to the sky. Releasing hands and energy to our heart center. For our standing pigeon, we take a gentle bend to our knees. Right ankle to left thigh. Possibly stay here, potentially hinge the heart center forward and drop our hands to our blocks or textbooks. Fold and straighten through the left knee joint to determine if one knee bending position is more advantageous for the right piriformis. Hands could, if balance allows, move into a chest expansion. And breathe. We carefully release our hands if we chose that chest expansion. Safely return to a standing position for my balancing pigeoners. Transitioning to the other side, if you're standing, gentle chair squat, then left ankle onto our right thigh. Possibly stay here and potentially hinge forward. Maybe hands can hit the floor. Fold and straighten through the right knee joint to determine if one knee positioning is more or less advantageous for our left piriformis. Potentially chest expansion arms, realizing that one side might be easier than the other. With continued practice, we can find ourselves centered. Let's bring ourselves back to our central location. If you're on your back, you can go into a bridge. Our downward facing dog if you performed a regular pigeon pose. Otherwise, standing upright position, mountain pose. For those of you that might be closer to the floor, you can stay there. We'll get closer to the floor for those of us in our standing mountain position. We breathe in, lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathe out, swan dive forward, hinging from our hips. Forward fold. If you need to face the front of your mat, go for it. Walk, hop, or jump, feet back, downward facing dog. Resting our knees down to our mat, finding ourselves in a quadruped position. All fours, hands and knees, head in line with our spine. Possibly lifting your left leg behind you, straightening through that left knee joint, potentially right arm reaches forward. We could stay here as we continue to breathe. We could open our right arm slightly into a diagonal and our left foot slightly out into a diagonal as we breathe. release back down. Transition to the other side, lengthening our left leg behind us and our right leg behind us and potentially our left arm in front of us. Possibly stay here. Possibly open the hand out to a diagonal and the foot to a diagonal as well. Carefully we release. Child's pose, extended, modified, or regular. Knees can be together or knees can be apart. If we're not in child's pose extended, extend those arms out towards the front of your mats and walk your hands over to one side of your mat as you sink your booty to the opposing side of those hands. Now we walk our hands over to the opposing edge and promote a counter stretch. Returning to center. Let's walk our hands back towards our knees, wrapping our feet around towards the front of our mats. Boat pose, hands underneath hamstrings, round the spine, imaginary sandbag on our belly button. Possibly stay here if potentially elevating feet off of the mat if this is okay for our low back. Maybe stay here, potentially straighten knees, maybe open legs, depending on what feels best for your body today. If flexibility allows, wrap and cap peace fingers around big toes. Easier for me to do this with open legs, a little bit more challenging for me to stay balanced with my legs closed. Breath continuation. We release our feet down. Yoga tabletop, hands behind you. You can substitute a fist for a wrist here if you have wrist issues. Lift those hips off of the mat. Open up through the chest. Eye gaze can look forward. If you'd like to look up towards the ceiling, you may, if that's okay for your neck. Maybe keep those knees bent in your tabletop. Maybe straighten those legs for your incline plank. If you choose the incline plank, applying pressure to the heels and into our triceps. We rest our hips back down, sideline dancer pose, finding ourselves laying on one side, taking the leg of the top side, taking a bend to that knee, top hand towards top foot, and drooping this knee down towards the floor. Let's release. Switch over to the other side. Folding through this knee joint, drawing this heel towards our buttocks, and breathing. Releasing. If you happen to have a strap, you can reach for that. T-shirt will suffice as well, or a towel. We'll lay on our backs and stretch out through our hamstrings. And if you don't need the assistance of a strap, you can wrap and cap your peace fingers around your big toes. You go for that. You choose the leg that you'd like to initiate. The non-stretching leg can be bent as mine is, or flat to the mat, depending on personal preference. We're pressing this heel up towards the ceiling, tugging our toes in towards our face. Basically, this is called a dorsiflex at the ankle joint. If we pointed our toes, that would be plantar flex, dorsiflex, plantar flex. You can go back and forth, plantar flex, dorsiflex, and feel the difference in sensation for your calves and your hamstrings. Now open this leg out to the side, anchoring both butt cheeks to your mat. Letting go of thoughts of the past. Letting go of thoughts of the future. Finding ourselves in this present breath, in this present moment. We return to center, twisting big toes towards our face, pinky toes to the ceiling, hinging our legs slightly across our body, and breathing. TFL stretch, tensor fascia lata. Ooh, feeling good. Still attempting to breathe in and out through the nose if possible. Let's return to center. Transition to the other foot in the strap, or peace fingers wrapped in calf bound around big toes. Press this heel towards the ceiling as we tug our toes in towards our face. If we want to go back to dorsiflex, plantar flex, if we enjoyed that sensation on the first leg, we could experiment here as well. We open this leg out to the side, anchoring both butt cheeks to our mat, and we're breathing. We return to center, twisting big toes towards our face, pinky toes to the ceiling, hinging our legs slightly across our bodies, and breathing. Let's return to center, releasing our feet from our straps or our makeshift straps as we lay on our backs. Bridge pose, breathe out. Knees are bent, soles of the feet to the mat, lifting our butt off of the mat. Potentially walking our shoulders a little bit closer towards our feet, maybe interlacing our hands underneath our buttocks. We release the hold of our hands, resting our buttocks back down. We can return to our bridge pose. If you'd like to move into an inversion, maybe raise those feet up to the height of your knees. You can use your hands to support your low back, reminding ourselves high blood pressure, sinus issues, pregnancy, If you're menstruating, no go. Potentially for a plow, trying to send your feet to the floor behind your head, maybe even sending your hands towards your ankles if flexibility allows, keeping the neck stationary. It's okay to stay in your bridge. Allowing our plow to cleanse our internal organs. If we chose the plow, easier to bend those knees to return the tailbone to the mat, more challenging to keep the knees straight. Slowly return the tailbone without lifting head and shoulders, hugging knees in towards chest, possibly rocking side to side. Fish pose, hands underneath buttocks, palms face the floor, straight legs or butterfly legs. We lift up onto our elbows and forearms. Our head is off the mat. Puff the chest to the sky and drop the head back. The head may or may not hit the floor. It could rest onto your textbook or your block. Shoulders are elevated off of the mat and we're breathing. Fish pose. More challenging to have your feet about 6 inches off of the mat. Always breathing. Finding a place where we can be calm, peaceful, and relaxed in our fish pose. Let's gently release from our fish. Modified pigeon pose, placing right ankle onto left thigh. Raising our left foot off of the mat. Right hand can go inside the hole created by our legs, clasping our hands around our left hamstrings or our left shin. And we're breathing. Option. Stack knees on top of each other and reach our hands to our feet, tugging our feet in towards our face. We carefully release, resting our feet down, trade it out, left ankle to right thigh, raising our right foot off the floor, left hand inside the hole created by our legs, clasping our hands around our right hamstrings or our right shin. If we selected the knees on top of each other option for the first side, balancing it out here, sending hands towards feet, tugging our feet in towards our face, and breathing. We carefully release, returning to a seated position. Butterfly pose, soles of the feet to touch. Hands to ankles, sinking, face over feet, and breathing. Surrendering upper body over lower body without our full body weight onto our legs. We bring ourselves back up, straighten one leg forward, hinge forward, reach for that foot, single-legged forward fold. Softening through this kneecap. Let's bring ourselves up. Now this bent knee, instead of having the sole of the foot to your inner thigh, we're going to bend through this knee. We're going to reach our opposite arm forward to the opposite toe, and then fold through that elbow joint around that bent knee. Take the hand of the same leg that's straight out in front of you behind your back and attempt to clasp your fingers together and look over your shoulder behind you. Let's release the hold of your hands if you are able to hold on to your hands. Straighten the other leg forward. Right knee is bending. Sole of the right foot to the left inner thigh. Breathe in here, single-legged forward fold. Breathe out as we hinge the heart center forward. Hands may or may not be able to reach for our left foot here. Softening through our left kneecap and breathing. Bring ourselves up. We're going to adjust the right knee so the right knee is facing the ceiling. Now taking the right hand over towards the left toes and then wrapping the right hand around the right knee. Left hand goes behind my back, possibly clasping fingers together, looking over my left shoulder. And breathing. Unclasping those hands, returning to center, seated forward fold. Breathe in, breathe out, reach forward, hands to feet. If flexibility isn't there, hands can rest at thighs, knees, shins, ankles, feet or floor, possibly grabbing our strap, wrapping the strap around the arches of our feet. Softening through those kneecaps, releasing tension through the low back. The next time we breathe in, let's look forward, monkey pose. The next time we breathe out, we relax again through head and neck. Let's release the hold of our feet, slowly stack our spines, melting our shoulders, our heads arrive last. Camel pose if we're able to perform a kneeling position. I like to apply a fold into my mat to give some extra cushion for my knees. I also like to open my knees out wider. You're welcome to keep them at a more narrow stance. Fists towards the tops of our glutes. Possibly stay here. Maybe press those hips forward towards the front of our mats. Open up through the chest, puff that chest. Maybe drop our head back if our cervical spine allows us. We could stay here. We could hinge back and send our hands towards our heels. And we breathe. Bringing ourselves back out. Child's pose. Extended, modified, or regular. Let's breathe into our plank or modified plank, chest over hands. Breathe out, chaturanga all the way down, resting our face and our bellies to the mat. Gentle cobra. Raising face off of the mat, drawing shoulder blades towards each other, feet will stay anchored. resting our face back down. Potential locust pose, raising every single body part we can off of the mat. Face, hands, legs, feet. Draw shoulder blades towards each other, promoting extension of the spine, more energy, and breathing. Let's release back down, gentle cobra. Feet will stay anchored, elbows and hands will stay anchored, raising our face off of the mat. If we'd like more of an up dog feel, it's okay to apply pressure to those hands and elevate your elbows off of the mat as well. Sending positive, healing exhalations to any area of our body where we currently feel sensation. We release. Back down. Child's pose. Extended, modified, or regular. Walking our hands back towards our knees, sitting onto our heels, wrapping our feet around towards the front of our mats. If you're not able to lay on your back, you're welcome to stay seated for a seated spinal twist. I choose to lay on my back today. Bringing one knee in towards your chest, pressing this knee to the opposite side of the mat, opening up your arm to a letter T shape, and some of us are more successful in this rotation of the spine than others as far as allowing the foot of our bent leg to hit the mat on the other side. Maybe not. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the nose. Maybe create space with your exhalation, potentially sinking a tenth of a millimeter deeper into our stretch. Dorsiflexing the foot of our straightened leg, pulling those toes up towards our knees. And we're breathing. We carefully return to center. We transition to the other side, drawing this knee in towards our chest and pressing this leg to the opposite side, dorsiflexing the ankle of our straightened leg, maybe setting our eye gaze away from our bent knee. Always breathing. Again, creating space with our exhalations. We gently return to center, preparing to move through some muscle tightening before we enter final relaxation. Let's breathe in, tighten and squeeze every single muscle that we have in our bodies, maybe raising body parts off the mat. Breathe out, soften, release, relax. Again, breathe in, tightening and squeezing, holding on. Breathe out, soften, release, relax. Breathe in, we tighten and squeeze, maybe raising body parts off of the mat. Release, relax. And last time, breathe in, tightening and squeezing, holding on. Breathe out, soften, release, relax. Potentially stay here. Maybe roll onto a side into a fetal position, possibly raising our legs up. against a wall, possibly rolling onto a belly. Find a place where you feel calm, peaceful, and relaxed. This is your reward for making the conscious decision to honor your body today through breath and movement. Place our hands back onto our abdominals and feel our breath enter and exit our bodies. Returning to a fetal position, rolling onto one side, tucking our knees up towards our chest, wiggling fingers and toes to help reawaken our bodies. Gently pressing ourselves up into a seated position. Breathing in, lengthening arms up and overhead. Breathe out, laterally flexing to one side and just lengthening here for a couple of breaths. The next time we breathe in, let's return to center, both arms up and overhead. Breathing out as we laterally flex over to the other side. Breath continuation. The next time we breathe in, let's return to center. Release our hand down, switching the cross of our applesauce. Dropping one ear towards the shoulder, lengthening the muscles on the sides of our neck. Returning to center, transitioning to the other side. Returning to center. Let's breathe in, lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathing out as we release our hands and our energy to our heart center. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. My spirit honors yours. Namaste.